It is 2 o'clock in the morning. A distant roll of thunder echoes through the house. It isn't loud enough to wake you, but something else does. The soft sound of paws moving across the floor. You open your eyes and see your dog standing silently beside your bed. Their ears are low. Their body trembles ever so slightly. They are not barking. They are not asking to go outside. They are simply looking at you, as if they have only one question. Am I safe? Most people believe dogs are only afraid of loud noises, fireworks, or the veterinarian. But those are only the things we can see. The deepest fears are often invisible. The fear of losing the person they trust most. The fear of not knowing what will happen next. The fear of a home that suddenly no longer feels safe. And sometimes, without realizing it, we are the ones who accidentally create those fears. In this video, you'll discover the 8 hidden fears that quietly shape your dog's world every single day through the lens of canine psychology, attachment science, and the remarkable way dogs experience trust. More importantly, you'll learn how small changes in your everyday actions can replace fear with security. Because your dog has never expected a perfect life. They have only ever hoped for one thing, to feel safe. Beside you. Number. Part 1. The fear of losing you. Imagine leaving your house for what feels like an ordinary morning. You grab your keys, slip on your shoes, tell your dog, "I'll be back soon." To you, those words carry certainty. To your dog, they carry only one question. Will you really come back? The moment the front door closes, their world changes. Some dogs quietly lie beside the door, listening for footsteps that never seem to come. Others pace from room to room, unable to settle. A few stare silently out the window, watching every passing car, hoping one of them brings their favorite person home. This is not stubbornness, and it is not simply boredom. It is the result of one of the strongest emotional bonds found anywhere in the animal world. Modern research on attachment has shown that dogs use their owners as what behavior scientists call a secure base. Much like a young child who feels confident enough to explore only when a trusted parent is nearby, dogs feel safest when they know their person is close. Your presence helps regulate their emotional state, lowering stress and giving them confidence to navigate the world around them. When that secure base suddenly disappears, the body often responds before the mind can understand why. Stress hormones, such as cortisol, begin to rise. Their breathing changes. Their ears stay alert for the smallest sound. Every creak in the hallway could be you returning. Every passing car raises hope for just a second. This is why some dogs struggle with separation anxiety. They are not trying to punish you by barking, chewing furniture, or scratching at the door. They are trying to solve a problem they cannot understand. The person who makes my world feel safe is gone. The good news is that security can be gently strengthened over time. Predictable departures, calm reunions, enrichment toys, and familiar scents like a blanket or shirt carrying your scent can all help your dog learn that every goodbye is followed by a safe return. Because your dog isn't counting the hours you're away. They're holding on to one simple belief, that the person they trust with their whole heart will walk through that door again. But as painful as separation can be, there is another fear that strikes even when you're standing right beside them. Sometimes, the world itself suddenly becomes too loud to understand. Number. Part 2. When the world suddenly becomes loud. One summer evening, everything feels peaceful. Your dog is stretched out on the living room floor, half asleep, listening to the familiar sounds of home. Then, without warning, a firework explodes across the sky. Your dog's head jerks up. Another deafening boom follows. Within seconds, they're scrambling under the table, panting, trembling, their eyes wide with confusion. To us, it's a celebration. To them, it can feel like the world is falling apart. A dog's hearing is far more sensitive than ours, allowing them to detect sounds at greater distances and higher frequencies. But what truly frightens them isn't simply the volume, it's the unpredictability. Canine behavior research shows that sudden, uncontrollable noises activate the brain's fear response. Because dogs cannot understand where the sound is coming from or when it will end, their body prepares for survival, their heart beats faster. Cortisol floods their system, Every instinct tells them to find shelter before danger arrives. This is also why many dogs react to thunderstorms, construction work, or even the roar of a vacuum cleaner. Through a process known as fear conditioning, one frightening experience can create a lasting emotional memory. Long after the noise is gone, the anticipation alone may trigger anxiety. The best way to help isn't by forcing your dog to be brave. Real confidence is built gradually through habituation, allowing them to experience low levels of sound in a safe environment while pairing those moments with calm, reassurance, play, or rewards. During loud events, close the curtains, reduce outside noise, and simply stay nearby. Your calm presence becomes a signal that the danger may not be as great as it feels. Because your dog isn't asking you to silence the storm. They're asking you to become the quiet place they can run to when the world suddenly sounds too frightening to understand. But loud noises are only temporary. The next fear is far more subtle, because it can grow quietly through the smallest changes in everyday life. Part 3. The fear of not knowing. What will happen next? Most people think dogs live entirely in the present. But if you've ever watched your dog walk to the front door a few minutes before you normally arrive home, or wait beside their food bowl at almost the exact same time every evening, you've already seen something remarkable. Dogs may not read clocks, but they learn the rhythm of life. To them, a familiar routine is more than a habit. It is a promise that the world still makes sense. Now imagine that promise suddenly disappears. Breakfast comes 2 hours late. The evening walk never happens. You leave without your usual goodbye. The house stays unusually quiet. Nothing dangerous has happened. Yet your dog begins pacing from room to room, whining softly or lying awake instead of settling down. This isn't because they're being demanding. It's because uncertainty itself can be stressful. Research in canine cognition suggests that dogs constantly build expectations from repeated experiences. Predictable routines help them anticipate what comes next, reducing mental effort and creating a sense of control over their environment. When those patterns repeatedly change without warning, stress hormones such as cortisol can remain elevated, leaving dogs more alert, restless, and emotionally sensitive. This doesn't mean your life has to follow a perfect schedule. Unexpected days happen. Vacations, late meetings, family emergencies, dogs can learn to adapt. What matters most is consistency in the moments you can control. Feeding them around the same time, keeping regular walks, maintaining familiar bedtime rituals, and greeting them with the same calm energy all become powerful signals that their world is still safe. For your dog, these small routines are like landmarks on a map. They remind them that even when life changes, the person they trust is still guiding the journey. Because what your dog fears isn't change itself. It's the feeling of facing change alone, without knowing what comes next. And unfortunately, there is another kind of uncertainty that feels even heavier. It begins the moment the world is filled with unfamiliar faces, strange smells, and places that seem far too overwhelming to understand. Part 4. When the world feels too big. Picture your dog walking into a crowded street festival for the very first time. People are everywhere. Children are running. Shopping bags brush past their shoulders. Someone suddenly reaches down to pet them without asking. Another dog barks from across the sidewalk. Within seconds, your dog's tail begins to lower. Their ears pin back. They start licking their lips, turning their head away, or pressing quietly against your leg. Many owners assume their dog is being shy, but something much deeper is happening. Dogs experience the world primarily through their senses. Every unfamiliar scent, movement, sound, and face is information that must be processed all at once. When too many new stimuli arrive faster than the brain can organize them, the nervous system becomes overwhelmed. Behaviorists call this overstimulation. At that moment, your dog isn't deciding whether they like the crowd. They're trying to answer a far more important question. Is any of this dangerous? Canine cognition research suggests that when dogs feel uncertain, they instinctively look toward the person they trust most. They watch your body language, your breathing, even the direction of your gaze. If you remain calm, Their brain receives an important message. Perhaps everything is okay after all. That is why forcing a frightened dog to socialize rarely builds confidence. Real confidence grows through choice. Allow your dog to observe from a comfortable distance. Let them approach new people or dogs at their own pace. Reward curiosity instead of pushing bravery. Each positive experience gently rewires the brain, replacing fear with familiarity, a process supported by gradual exposure and positive association rather than pressure. To your dog, courage doesn't mean standing in the middle of the crowd. Sometimes, courage is simply taking one small step forward because you're walking beside them. But even the busiest street is not the place where some of the deepest fears begin. Sometimes, the greatest source of fear isn't the outside world at all. Sometimes, it comes from the voice they love the most. Number. Part 5. The fear hidden inside human anger. Imagine your dog accidentally knocks over a glass of water. The crash startles you. Without thinking, your voice becomes louder. You point at the floor. Your shoulders tense. For you, it's only a few seconds of frustration. For your dog, the room suddenly feels completely different. They lower their head. Their ears fold back. They avoid your eyes, lick their lips, or slowly back away, as if trying to become invisible. Many people look at these behaviors and think, they know they did something wrong, but canine psychology tells a different story. Dogs are remarkably skilled at reading human emotions. Yet, they do not interpret anger the way people do. Instead of understanding that you're upset about the broken glass, they notice something much more immediate: your raised voice, rigid posture, sharp movements, and tense facial expression. Their brain recognizes these as signals that the environment has become unpredictable. In response, the body's stress system activates. Heart rate increases. Cortisol begins to rise. Their goal is no longer to understand the mistake. Their goal is simply to restore peace. This is why many dogs display what behaviorists call appeasement signals: looking away, lowering their body, yawning, or gently approaching after the tension has passed. These are not signs of guilt. They are attempts to reduce conflict and make the relationship feel safe again. That is why calm correction teaches far more effectively than anger ever can. Guide your dog toward the behavior you want. Reward the right choices. Keep your voice steady, even when you're disappointed, because your dog may forget the spilled water within minutes, but they will remember how your presence made them feel. To them, your voice is more than a sound. It is the emotional weather of their entire world. And when that weather suddenly turns into a storm, they begin searching for the one place they have always trusted: home. But what happens when even that safe place suddenly changes? For many dogs, that is the moment one of their deepest fears quietly begins. Number. Part 6. When their safe place suddenly disappears. One afternoon, you decide to rearrange the living room. The old rug is gone. The couch has been moved. Your dog's bed now sits in a different corner. To you, it's simply a fresh new look. To your dog, it's as if someone quietly erased the map they have trusted every day. They walk slowly from room to room, sniffing familiar objects that no longer seem to belong where they should. They hesitate before lying down. That evening, instead of settling into deep sleep, they remain alert, lifting their head at every small sound. It may seem like a small reaction, but for many dogs, their environment is more than a place to live. It is a collection of safety signals. Dogs build powerful emotional associations with locations, scents, and routines. Their favorite blanket, the corner beside the sofa, the smell of your home, even the familiar path from the kitchen to the back door, all of these become landmarks that tell their brain, this place is safe. When those landmarks suddenly disappear, uncertainty replaces familiarity. Behavior researchers believe that predictable environments reduce cognitive load, allowing dogs to relax instead of constantly evaluating potential threats. Remove too many of those familiar cues at once, and the brain shifts back into a state of vigilance. This is why some dogs become unsettled after moving to a new house, spending time in a boarding kennel, or even returning home from a veterinary visit. It's not only the new place they fear, it's the temporary loss of everything that once helped them feel secure. If change is unavoidable, introduce it gently. Keep their favorite bed, blanket, or toy nearby. maintain familiar feeding times and walking routines. Carry the scent of home into new environments whenever possible. These small details tell your dog that although the surroundings have changed, the relationship they depend on has not. Because home has never been defined by four walls. To your dog, home has always been wherever safety lives. And for many dogs, that safety has one face, one voice, one person, which leads to the deepest wound of all, a fear that some dogs carry long after the moment itself has passed. Number, Part 7. The fear they never completely forget. Some fears disappear the moment the danger is gone. This one doesn't. Imagine meeting a rescue dog for the very first time. You open the shelter gate. They don't run toward you. They don't bark. Instead, they hesitate. Their eyes quietly study every movement you make, as if they're asking a question they've asked many times before. Will you leave too? No one knows exactly what that dog has experienced. Perhaps they were abandoned at the side of a road. Perhaps they waited for days outside a house where no one ever came back. Or perhaps they simply lost the only person they had ever trusted. Whatever happened, the memory didn't disappear when they found a new home. While dogs don't relive the past in the same way humans remember specific events, research suggests they form powerful emotional memories. The brain may forget the details, but it often remembers the feeling. Through emotional learning, experiences of fear or abandonment can leave lasting associations that shape future expectations. This is why some adopted dogs panic when they see a suitcase by the door. Others become anxious the moment you pick up your car keys. Some follow you from room to room, not because they're overly dependent, but because they've learned that love can suddenly disappear without warning. The beautiful truth is that emotional memories can also be rewritten. Not erased. Rewritten. Every calm goodbye, every gentle return, every promise that is quietly kept. These moments slowly teach the brain a new pattern. People leave, but they also come back. That process is known as attachment repair, and it happens through hundreds of ordinary moments rather than one extraordinary act. Trust grows each time your dog discovers that today's ending looks just like yesterday's. You always return, because your dog doesn't need you to undo every painful chapter of their past. They only need you to write a different future. And when that future feels safe enough, one final fear begins to fade. The greatest fear any dog can carry isn't the storm outside. It's the possibility of losing the person who makes the whole world feel like home. Number, Part 8. The greatest fear every dog carries. If you followed this journey from the beginning, you may have noticed something. None of your dog's greatest fears are really about thunderstorms, or fireworks, or crowded streets. Those are only the moments that awaken something much deeper. Because underneath every trembling paw, every lowered tail, every anxious glance toward the door, lies one quiet question: will I still be safe? And for almost every dog, safety has never been a place. It has always been a person. You. Dogs have spent thousands of years evolving beside humans. Through domestication, they developed an extraordinary ability to form deep emotional attachments with us. Studies on canine attachment have even found that many dogs show behavioral patterns strikingly similar to the bond between young children and their caregivers. When they feel uncertain, they don't simply look for shelter. They look for you, not because you feed them, not because you throw the ball, but because your presence has become the center of their emotional world. That is why an elderly dog with fading eyesight still follows the sound of your footsteps. Why a frightened puppy runs toward your legs instead of away from the danger. Why a rescue dog, after months of patient love, finally falls asleep with their head resting against your foot. In those quiet moments, they are making a decision more powerful than words. I trust you with my life. The heartbreaking truth is that your dog has no way of knowing whether you'll be home in 10 minutes or 10 hours. They don't understand business trips, hospital stays, or the passing of time itself. They only know that when you disappear, the safest part of their world disappears with you. That is why the happiest dogs are not always the ones with the biggest yard, or the newest toys, or the most expensive beds. They are the dogs who wake up each morning believing one simple thing: no matter what happens today, I won't face it alone. Perhaps that is the greatest gift we will ever give them. Not a perfect life, Not a life without storms, but a life where, every time fear appears, they know exactly where to run. Back to the person who has always made the world feel safe. Because in the end, your dog isn't asking you to protect them from everything. They're only asking you to be the place they feel protected. Number. Conclusion. The place they call home. So tonight, before you turn off the lights, pause for just a moment. Look at your dog. Really look at them. Notice the way they quietly follow you from room to room. The way they glance back to make sure you're still there. The way they relax the instant you sit beside them. Those little moments are easy to overlook. But to your dog, they are everything. Throughout this video, we've talked about storms, loud noises, unfamiliar places, changing routines, and old emotional wounds. Yet none of those fears are truly the center of your dog's world. The center has always been you. You are the voice that calms their racing heart. The footsteps that tell them everything is okay. The familiar scent that turns an ordinary house into home. Your dog will never remember how expensive their toys were. They won't count how many treats they received. Years from now, what will remain is a feeling. The feeling of being safe, of being understood, of never having to face a frightening world alone, because love, to a dog, has never been measured by grand gestures. It is measured in the ordinary moments that happen every single day. A gentle voice instead of anger, a patient hand instead of force, a calm goodbye, and the joy of watching you come home again. So tonight, before your dog quietly falls asleep, give them one extra moment. Scratch behind their ears, whisper their name. Let them rest knowing that the person they trust most is still right there beside them. And if this video helped you understand your dog's heart a little better, tell us in the comments. What is one thing your dog does that makes you feel they trust you completely? We'd love to hear your story. And if you'd like to discover more of the silent language dogs use every day, subscribe and join us for the next journey into the remarkable world of canine psychology. Because every behavior tells a story, and every story begins with trust.